Freecs. Game 1 of Afreeca up against Fredit Brion. As we do have the audience in the stadium, but seems like the fan cheers may be coming in a little bit slower than the audience themselves.
It's a natural instinct, right? Because there's audience again, you're like...
Oh. Yeah, I'm like, wait.
Oh, wait? No.
No.
Nothing?
Not yet. Of course, we are at 10% capacity, which I believe is 40 people.
Doesn't help.
Yeah.
Just doing a couple of
sit-ups there in the brush, as you would normally do. But yeah, this is pretty interesting. I'm curious to see, you mentioned the momentum, right? If Fredit Brion can come into this match, and what if they come in here and they just absolutely stomp Afreeca? It's not a good look for Afreeca, but, you know, that's pretty huge for Fredit Brion if they could start the season 2-0.
On the other end, do we want to get excited? Because we know what happens, you know, in general on the LCK.
Well.
It's always a risky move, let's put it that way. As I really like the choice of Dark Harvest here by Umti. I think the Predator is kind of one in terms of popularity. A lot of people feel like the Dark Harvest is less consistent, right? It's a bit more snowbally, where if it goes well, it does really well, but you don't have the guaranteed value. Oh yeah, Dread. That's the level 2 Gengar lead.
Yeah, he's going to land that gold card, and yes, the flash. They do pick it off, and with the timing of the minions, it is actually going to block any Q, but they get the flash, and that is really huge just to pick that up for not much time wasted from Dread.
And we need to see dominance from the Afreeca solo lanes, right? It's not going to be the bot lane. Leo also went for the grasp, so really playing for survivability in poker in this lane, right? Not looking to put on any aggression whatsoever, but simultaneously putting that early pressure on a Leo or on a Orianna rather, which is going to have such a hard time playing into the twisted fake, because it's so easy. As you see there, you just walk up. So at any point, if Lava is even slightly up, he needs to respect the pressure from Dread, and that might make it really hard. Same for Hoya, just the fact that the Ignite is there, combined with the early training pressure from a Camille of Shield Bash and Ignite, and Grasp is terrifying.
Yeah, it's, I would imagine it's going to be a pretty fun lane down here on the bottom side here for Leo and Lehans. Funnily enough, in the interview, Lehans mentioned how Leo is a very aggressive player and how he's quite good, but then they pick Santa Tom Catch. And it's like, well, okay, you can have fun, you can poke out a little bit.
Never mind.
But we're not going crazy in the bottom side, not aggressive just yet. This top lane matchup is going to be interesting. Hoya mentions that he considers Keen his biggest rival, which is, it's always funny when pro gamers mention that, oh, this player is, you know, he's my biggest rival. Well, I'm not sure that Keen considers you his rival, and that's kind of the way that rivals work, but we'll have to wait and see if maybe he can do anything against Keen. Definitely one of the big lanes here for Afreeca to look out for.
And I gotta say, the more I think about it, the less I like the Grasp. Grasp was the most popular with the Frostfire Gauntlet build. However, that has been nerfed on 11.11. In conjunction to that, or in addition to that, I think the value of a Glacial Augment against the Kalista is always really nice, right? Because of a passive, so every auto you land slows her down a bit. As yeah, Lava, he's playing respectful, as he should.
Yeah, I liked his positioning in the lane. Like, he's got vision of the left side, but must have seen that the TF didn't come out on the other side of that brush. So either he went back or he was waiting in the brush. Nicely calculated, positions on the right side of the lane, avoids the gank. That's exactly what you want. You don't want the jungle Lee Sin specifically to get any early leads for their team.
And now we see the big wave being built up here. They don't really think they can go for a lot of aggression. We do see Dread path bot side, and if they can actually get a really big waiver, get it stacked, Fly can hit 6. I think it's not going to be perfectly timed, but that might be the time of plays that you could be looking for in this scenario though. Timing's not really there, right? Maybe if you calibrate it a little bit better, that's an opportunity. And on the other hand, diving a Leona and a Kalista with all summoners up is always going to be a risky endeavor. But honestly, I would kind of like to see that type of Afreeca Freecs, right? Really try and look for the punish. Because if you go into mid-game skirmishy style fights on even footing, I think it's going to be a lot harder.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty difficult, and we'll see if they can get any early Drakes here. The first Infernal is going to be really nice for their comp. but not looking at that just yet. Pretty early on in the game, as it has just come down. And yeah, this top lane has been pretty nice. You know, not much action so far, but still it's a pretty passive 20 CS lead already. Of course, with the lane pushing into the set, you will be able to catch up a little bit. But this has been total dominance in the top side, and that's what you need when you've got Keen on your team.
Yeah, and Keen single-handedly kind of keeping the pressure on it for Afreeca. Oh, that's an early ignite though. Maybe trying to get something done.
They're making so much action early here as Hoya is trying to get the angle down. He still has flash, and he saves it for the perfect time. Able to avoid the Sonic Wave and avoid the 3-man gank.
It's the perfect example of a weak side top laner. You know your team is getting Dragon, 3 people come up to gank you, and you're like, no, I'm fine. Just gonna take this Twisted Fate right into safety. The flash, sure. You know, it's unfortunate, but especially on the the top set, the lack of Hex Flash, not nearly as debilitating. The main problem is the fact that he's getting doubled in CS at the moment, and he has forced to use his teleport, whereas Keen can roam. But as a whole, that's a big map win for Fredit Brion. An early Drake. It gets them where they want to be. Even if the next couple of Drakes get taken by Afreeca, you can wait out and scale up if that's the state of the game at that point in time.
Yeah, totally fine for them. You mentioned the CS deficit, but take a look at the mid lane. I mean, Lava is way far ahead here. That's 15 CS as the waves do crash. NT lost his flash early at level 1. So it's looking good for Lava at the same time. So he's able to shore up some of that, especially with the Infernal that they did get very early.
And the players themselves talked about and his incredible early pathing. Dread, he's ganked twice, but none of the ganks have actually gotten anything done. Lava has his flash back up again, right? So that early pressure didn't actually result in anything. Considering Lava's CS lead, it's not even negligible. It didn't do anything whatsoever. Whereas he's been farming and he's slowly building up the CS lead. He's going to hit that Night Harvest first item a little bit early, unless Dread is actually able to make something work around the map. And I think once you get to the 1-item spikes or the ultimates are available, you're going to get to the point where Fredit Brion, in a 5v5 situation, actually has the edge. If it's 2v2, 3v3 skirmishes, it's very different due to the Twisted Fate and a possible roam from the Telm Kench, but that means that the game is just going to get, from this point on, harder and harder and harder for Afreeca. And for the next 10 minutes, it's still slowly, but past that, it's not great. And we all recall that Afreeca's post 20 minutes stats generally not the greatest.
Yeah, looking to change that a little bit with Leo in the lineup, but curious to see if that will actually get anything done. The top lane trading was really interesting, as Keen wasn't exactly pushing back, but he wasn't freezing either. He was looking for very aggressive trades and positioning very aggressively. He's just denying more and more CS away from Hoya and making that lane just a nightmare for him. So we'll see if Hoya has any chance, and with that top lane priority, you could see that they were trying to go for the Rift Herald here, but actually, Fredit Brion going with a full rotation up to get that objective.
And I wonder whether the Senna can do enough, and I really like this rotation that we see here from Hannah. Hannah's kind of hovering, would much prefer if he actually went back. There we go, sees them now, go back to his turret, just to try and soak experience and avoid giving up 2 plates, right? Into a Tristana, we've seen teams do this, and then your turret, you just lose 3 plates, and Tristana can free farm. And it's a really big problem. And the respect here as well from Fredit Brion does mean that they actually are going to give those plates. A huge wave is going to go into the turret. So now you need to get value out of this Rift Herald, because as Fredit Brion, this is a conservative choice that you went for, as like the classic play,
Yeah.
But you're giving up a lot, a lot. That's another wave that is going to go into the turret here. Hannah able to pick up most of it, but possible roam is always there. Flies hovering towards the bot side as well.
Yeah, really liking how Bro is responding to this. The early warding to spot out the TF on his roam down to the bottom side. You get the 2 plates, but you note that was down here. You see Lava edging down towards the bottom side. With a minute to go until the Mountain Drake, the Equalizer just going to come out here, and that's basically just saying, get away from my blue buff, I'll take that. But at the end of the day, not able to roll that into anything else. As pretty interesting map maneuvers, nobody dies, there's still no first blood, but Definitely Bro reading the situation pretty well. Still a nice little lead in terms of gold here, though, for Afreeca.
And it's what Afreeca needs, and it's also who is this gold on, right? And if the gold could be on anyone, I think as Afreeca, you'd be very happy it is on Keen. Because he has been one of the most consistent carries for this team. However, even a Camille, at this point in time, is a pick that isn't necessarily going to single-handedly carry the game. Right? She can apply a lot of pressure, she can carry team fights, but you're still going to have to eventually opt into those team fights unless she's monstrously ahead, can take on 2 people at a time. As Umti looking for kind of a greedy lane gank here.
Yeah. I can't really see a world in which this works. Yes, Keen doesn't have flash. So basically he's just going to come up here and push and try to get that Rift Herald down, I would imagine. But the second he shows, then Dread just takes the drink. So no plates taken up here on the top side. He essentially just helps Hoya push to get him out of the lane, but you're not really getting any other value out of that, and you're also giving away the Mountain Drake.
And I think if you don't give it the Mountain Drake here, Umti showing himself to just help Hoya get the bounce on the wave, right, and be able to farm is, I think, fine. Because if Keen freezes there with Ignite and Ultimate up, like, Hoya can't play the game. But because you also gave up the Drake, don't really think it's worth it. And I'm liking what I'm seeing here from Fredit Brion in terms of how they play around what Afreeca is doing. However, in terms of actual objective control, I still think that there is a lot to go back on when you look at this game, where you don't really need to give that much up, right? You don't really need to then not get anything down on the top side. Then try to set up a play with Lava, try to get a teleport, something going, because now you are falling behind. 1K still very, very manageable. These are the moves that, as Bro, I think, just clean it up a little, and then it's perfect.
Yeah, they are going to get, I think, 3 plates there from the Rift Herald. So that's some really nice value, as they are going to get aggressive here, but it is Kench. He is still a champion in League of Legends somehow. So he's going to deny all action down on the bottom side. We will still not have any kills in this game.
I'm really happy. Like, oh, no. The Kench is there. Never mind. Gotta hold myself back. I was thinking about this yesterday. Is there a champion in competitive League of Legends that's like basically carried to competitive viability by just having one basic ability? I don't think there's any.
Tom Kench.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was...
Yeah, there you go.
That was the answer, yes. Yeah. But I'm like, other ones, you know? That was my crazy.
We're going to have the flash coming in here with the kick available. Could go for it, but Dread is going to get caught under the turret as Umti is there. We already got a 2v2 down at the bottom side as well, as Keen with a big teleport into the fight and might be able to pick up more, but actually no. Well kited out there, as the follow-up not really online just yet, as Leo has basically no damage and Keen couldn't do it all by himself. So finally, the action does unload here in this game, as Hoya is able to get a nice little push going as well.
And it's just 2 immediate plays happening at the same time, right? And we see Hannah and the Light Rider actually able to get away, which is super valuable there. They're gonna make a play on Fly here. No, he just runs away.
Okay.
Yeah, he does have the flash, which is, you know, not great. Not really what you're looking for.
He ghosted, I think.
Oh yeah. Never mind, it's the spell book. And yeah, Lava has been playing really respectful, but there's only so much you can do when you get flashed engaged on. But a really nice shockwave combined with kind of the threat of this equalizer, meaning that you can't really ever get back, is one thing. Then this is a really interesting play, because I feel like this is understandable from the Light and Hannah, but the chance of you actually ever getting anything there are kind of negligible. And then Keen with a really nicely timed teleport, not quite on the same page of the rest of his team. I feel like Lens and Lee were kind of kiting back, and if they're all there at the same time, they can maybe push further forward, but timing not quite there.
My favorite part of that fight was when Leona got pulled out of the mouth of Tom Kench. Mid-devour. Just Fate's called out of there, saved. Nicely done by Hannah. But yeah, able to deny any further kills down there. And with that kill as well on to Umti, this Rumble is getting a nice little lead here going in the jungle. Take a look at his CS numbers as well. Feeling pretty good about his position so far.
And trading evenly as Fredit Brion, I personally think is a win because your comp scales so comfortably into the late game, right? It's not like I think the TF isn't great. We've seen the things that Senna can do later in the game. Obviously, Lee Sin, not nearly the early game characters he once was. He has so much more longevity with the Gore Drinker and the other survivability that his current item provides him. But it's so much harder, you know, as Red's looking for it. But generally, standing on a ward is not helpful when trying to set up turret dives.
That's a really cute ward, by the way. I mean, that's specifically put to make sure that you don't get dove. I mean, there's not much else there. They know that Dread still has his flash. And take a look at this. There's another ward. Good luck, Lee Sin. Everybody sees you. We'll see if they can still make it go, though. 3-on-1 as the teleport will come in. The pull-in was so nice there. The timing was perfect from Hoya. And they rack up yet another kill. Bro is turning up the heat.
And they're playing this out so cleanly, Valdez. This doesn't feel like Afreeca like making big mistakes. It's just that, as you said, the vision control from Bro is so good. They always know what's happening. They read that play. Lee Sin standing on top of the ward, right? They saw Dread move from mid to top. They have the teleport available. And yet again, Hoya is like, this is fine. Whoever comes towards me, I'll just grab him, combined with the beautiful face breaker. And even if these trades, even if you don't get the kill, right? Even if you trade 1-for-1, as Fredit Brion, you'll take those trades, you'll take those kills, and they're playing super controlled here. And it's such a nice look from a team where we felt like last split, it was a lot good, but they were also incohesive, right? It never really came together. And this is looking super controlled and just super clean type of League of Legends, which makes me very happy and is kind of a continuation of the look we saw from Fredit Brion in the initial game. On the other hand, I'm happy that Afreeca's making plays. They still got the Drakes, sure they're behind, but this comp doesn't necessarily auto-lose, right? And that's important to keep in mind. Like, it's still a possibility for them to win because their catch potential is insane.
Yeah, and also, I mean, as the game comes along, they don't necessarily play traditional League of Legends either. They can do a lot of cheesy stuff later on in the game with the split pushing and the potential for the Camille and the TF to just group up together and get the duo split going. It's pretty interesting. So let's take a look here from Hoya's point of view on the timing of this one.
That pull is just...
It's perfect.
Beautiful, right? And this is the second time we've seen this happen. And I think after that first time, as Afreeca, you're just like, we can't do this anymore, right? Sett is one of those champions where it's just so easy to turn it around. Because of the amount of CC that he has, the survivability with the Haymaker makes it so hard to consistently lock this champion down. And especially, you know, with the summoners available, it's just not really a thing that you can do. And I understand that Afreeca wants to try and make something happen around the map because they kind of need to, as mentioned previously, but it's hard. I don't think Fredit Brion is giving them a lot of opportunities to actually get there.
It's really frustrating for Afreeca. I mean, these are like the instructions on the box, right? You see this composition and it's like, okay, what you do is after 5 minutes, you gank the top lane after everybody hits level 6. They've tried it twice and it failed both times and they're like, man, these instructions don't make any sense. Like, what are we doing wrong? Like, this is supposed to net us free kills, but it's not. What is happening? And they're trying it again.
Yeah.
But they're on vision again.
And again, and this is something that I really love from Fredit Brion, and I think that's a really big difference, is the overall like respect that they show their opponents as well. I think that there were a lot of situations in the previous split where Hoya would have just stayed there. And he would have died, given up a free kill, and they still would have lost the turret, right? You need to respect the roaming potential. However, on the flip side, it's good that Afreeca keeps making these moves. Yes, a couple of them get shut down, but the moment as Afreeca that you stop moving around the map and creating pressure is also when you lose. Because as mentioned previously, I think in a vacuum, like Camille obviously skills insanely well. She has the Ignite, she has a 60 CS lead, and Keen's gonna blow up that lead, believe me, because that's what he does.
Yeah.
But you are the one who needs to make moves around the map. You're the ones who need to force Bro to react. As long as you keep Bro on the back foot and reactive, you're fine. As soon as Bro is like, okay, we can just group up as 5, not lose inhibitors or turrets, and just set up shop on an objective, you're in deep trouble.
I mean, I think that's coming soon, right? Because,
probably, yeah.
Yeah.
But you don't want that to happen, it's the big thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Bro, they picked up 2 Rift Heralds, they gave up a couple of Dragons for it. So it's not like they can really push the issue with the Dragon Soul. We're having a 1v1 up on the top side. We also got TF coming in, and okay. We also got everybody else on the team up on the top side. The Destiny actually used down in the bottom side for TF to rotate to the mid lane. So 4-man gank up on the top side. They finally catch Hoya, as Delight is looking for a catch of his own, but really just trying to put on the pressure and get something else on the map here for Bro.
Really nice play by Afreeca. They get the kill. They get the collapse on top of Hoya. This time his team is not there to save him. Lava could have teleported, but obviously would not have ended well. And this is the type of tempo you need to generate. It does come down to, imagine if you don't get this first dragon as Bro. Like, then this game looks completely different. And that also means that in a minute you need to win this upcoming fight. You can afford to use the equalizer. I think it will be back up by the time you actually start contesting for dragon. But Fredit Brion, yes, they're playing really well, but I'm also happy to see Afreeca keep making moves because, as said before, it's a momentum-based comp, right? You need pressure in the side lane, or you need to get these picks. Keep Fredit Brion on the back foot, choke out their vision, and then make sure that you start any team fight on uneven footing, and then you're still fine. Because if Afreeca gets his next Drake, then the pressure of a split push becomes a really big problem for Fredit Brion.
Yeah, absolutely. And so far, we've been highlighting a couple of moments where Fredit Brion's vision control has been really nice. You know, some of the early TF roams, some of the catches onto Dread and spotting them out, even in their own jungle. But as of right now, I feel like Afreeca kind of have more pressure in that vein, right? There's 2 control wards in the enemy jungle up on the top side, really enabling Keen to go for this early split push. There's no vision for Fredit Brion around the jungle, or rather around the dragon right now. They have a couple of wards, but as of right now, Afreeca, I think, are really playing to their comp well, which is something you mentioned, right? They're just getting very deep vision up here on the top side. And once again, the dream team, the top 3 of this Afreeca lineup are up in the top side yet again. We're going to, you know, catch out Lava and they say, well, we're not going to go for it now.
No, never mind. Never mind. We see where everyone is. Not a good idea, guys. Let's not repeat that mistake again. And yeah, it's a really interesting game because what I'm happy to see is that both these teams, for Fredit Brion we kind of already knew, but Afreeca also looks miles better than they did previously. It felt like if they didn't get a huge lead in the first 15 minutes of the game, it was kind of just doomed from that point onwards. Whereas now they're still out on the map, they're still making the plays, and they can keep that up.
It's getting worse and worse for Hoya. Like, yeah, you get some damage done, but Dread is here again. And okay, he's going to be carried in as what? Looks like he messed up the kick flash that time around, but guess what? 4v2, feeling pretty good, but Lava's actually able to push them away. Meanwhile, Bro are able to pick up that 1 dragon, so they're doing pretty well in terms of staving off the pressure from Afreeca as well.
Oh, and that's a crucial misexecution there for Afreeca, because when you make that play, you willingly sacrifice your soul point. I think that's fine. As mentioned previously, I don't even know if you actually want to go into a 5v5 at this point, right? You're looking for the pick. If you get a pick there and they still go for Drake, you probably pick up an inhibitor. And that's a trade that you'll take any time of the day. But as you say, the flash kick not really working out. Hoya, for what feels like the 15th time this game, sees a gank, takes the gank, as a train ticket out, and then even if he would have died there, right, like the amount of time that he stalled and the resources invested by Afreeca don't really weigh up to that. And it's a constant back and forth, and I'm just really happy to see these teams fight an even footing, and it doesn't feel like one team just blunders and loses, which is what happens sometimes when these 2 teams individually played last split.
Yeah.
Whereas now it looks like, are there things to be improved upon? Sure, you know, misexecution left and right, this insistence on ganking a set over and over and over again, but they're manageable. And I think that's a really good look for both of these teams here.
Yeah, immediately after that gank, Keen goes to the bottom side and says, well, let's try to put pressure somewhere else, and of course away from the Baron. That is slowly becoming a contestable objective. As Fly, he does not have his flash available just yet, and he is going to have to Zhonya's out of this one. But will he be able to get away? The answer is no. And with no vision up on that top side, it's just basically a free kill for Bro.
It's an age-old answer to the Twisted Fate, you know? To prevent Twisted Fate from collapsing on you, you just collapse on Twisted Fate. He can't gate anywhere else, he can't get out of there. And this is the key to Fredit Brion. As long as Hoya can just keep doing this, he's fine. You know, for all I care, buy a Warmox, buddy. You know, like, I'm just...
I saw that giant spell and I'm like,
Because all you need to do is just clear the wave, just slow Keen down. As long as you don't die, and he's still even in CS, right? Or sorry, even in experience. Not even in CS, clearly. That ship has long sailed. But that is kind of what you're looking for here. As long as you can manage that pressure, and I think there's going to be actually a point where you probably won't be able to anymore with how strong Divine Sunderer is. Plus the fact that Camille's late game is just kind of absurd with the Q. As yet again, if you hit that Everfrost, you know, you might be fine.
Yeah.
Probably not, but at least you have the opportunity, but you can't afford to miss those. And
yeah. Also, the summoner spell cooldown, right? He had barrier and cleanse. He uses the barrier, but then his flash is just like 5 seconds away. Could have potentially saved him in that situation. But when you're already at a position like that, you already use your stopwatch. It's kind of just a feels bad man moment. But yeah, nice little pick there for Bro. And now they're trying to set up some vision around this Baron. Although Keen sticking around, feels like both teams really waiting and ready to get into this fight. But again, Tom Kansas is champion, so good luck engaging like that. You're going to have to try a little bit harder.
And some people might call this match boring. I prefer to call it strategic.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a classic LCK game. We don't want too many kills. We don't want too much excitement. We want to be able to talk about the games and you know how the Korean lessons are going, for example, which is kind of be better.
Yeah.
And it gives us more time to look at what these two teams are showing us here. Because I, for one, am happy to see an Afreeca that doesn't randomly die post 25 minutes thus far.
Yeah, I mean,
early in, but
you mention it. We've passed the marker. I actually forgot about that. Well, we'll have to see if they've shaken off that curse.
You know, I gave Leo some flack for going for this specific Senna build, as yet again, not gonna happen. He has 2k health. It's a Senna with 2k health and a Kench. Yeah. And now I'm wondering, I talked about like Afreeca Freecs kind of losing the team fight the later we get into the game. Is there just gonna be a point where this Senna is going to become so tanky with so much range now at 94 souls, getting closer and closer to the really high marks where you really start to become obnoxiously oppressive in terms of range? Well, is it actually going to be Fredit Brion who then needs to try and force something, which is a really interesting turnaround? Anna has not really had an impact this game yet, same can be said for the Light, but might be gearing up toward a fight for the possible soul point here.
Yeah, you can see Keen in the brush, and they're going to spawn something in that brush, as probably was the ward there. But yeah, just looking for the 5v5 here, it looks like. Bro really honing in on this Drake, trying to secure this one. As Keen is in the wings, but they don't want to go for it, as Afreeca will just let them take the Drake and not split push in the meanwhile with their Camille and TF. Although we are going to get a root here and looking for a little bit more. That's a lot of damage getting done, but trying to kite back here is Bro, and down will go Dread. He's not able to get anything done as Keen looking desperately to start the fight. He's going to ultimate in. A really nice stopwatch there, but everybody on Fredit Brion is staying alive the entire time. Somehow, some way, they have kited this entirely out, and they are looking for the ace here as Fly just barely able to get away for now.
No!
Just hit him! Oh, God, why did he turn around? He was rounding the bend, and I suppose he had no hope. But that is an ace. Fredit Brion kite that one back perfectly and survive the entire time.
It's a clean ace. They lost no one.
I don't know how that happens. Let's take a look at the replay once again.
And it starts off with the equalizer being used as, honestly, and a miss. How do you win this fight? They miss the shockwave. They don't hit the equalizer whatsoever. But it's, I think, honestly, lack of damage. Look at how many autos Leo actually gets in here, right? How much damage Fly can reliably do. And that's the key issue here. With Dread dying immediately, Keen has to go in deep. And then the two carries on the side of Fredit Brion just don't do enough. There's just not enough damage, which is weird, but when you think about it, I talked about how tanky the Senna was. That comes at the cost of something, right? If you're a Glacial Augment Senna who's gone for a lethality build here, I can assure you those health bars would not look as good as they do. And Fate's issue, of course, in these team fights, it's not where he shines. His burst is okay, but his consistent damage just isn't really there.
Yeah, take a look at this. I mean, Tom Kent's going to do his job, but at the end of the day, it just looks like Bro are too far ahead now. I mean, they get the Baron, they're going to take an easy turret here. And now Afreeca's like, oh, okay, nice shockwave here, looking for a little bit more. Dread, incredibly low, and he will be rendered down. And those are a couple of picks that might even just end the game here, or at least get an inhibitor. Immediately, the Camille and the TF have to come back to base.
And I think, I agree with you, that might just be it here, Valdez. With the Baron buff coming in here and the amount of team-fighting prowess that Fredit Brion have, they don't have any of their crucial ultimates, so maybe Afreeca can hold on here.
I think they're going to go for it. The TP? The TP? No?
No?
Okay.
Oh yeah?
Never mind.
No, don't risk it.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
They've been playing cleanly. I respect it. You know, you don't have your ultimates, just take it a little bit slow.
I can respect that. I can respect that. Slow and stable.
I kind of get it.
Yeah, does make sense. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny that after you force a 5v5 team fight, albeit it was a good position, as we mentioned, you know, down on ultimates for Bro and a lot of nice potential, but they forced a 5v5 with this comp. Dread actually safeguards onto the ball. Not the best
ideal.
look there. Good reaction from Lava.
Yeah, nice punish. Yeah, losing track of the Orianna ball is never good. You see how quickly it's punished there. And we've been talking a lot about these teams as a whole, right? Like the map movement, what they've been doing. Talk a lot about Keen, who is approaching Flame Horizon here, which, that's nice. But then you look at Fredit Brion and that cohesiveness that we saw last split, or that we rather didn't see enough of last split, seems to be here. They're playing really cleanly, they're respecting their opponent, but then when it comes to actually team fighting, the front to back is beautiful, right? Like, look at these KDAs. Look at how few deaths they've randomly given up, which is so easy against the Camille, against the Lee, against the Twisted Fates. And sure, it's not the fastest game, knowing Fredit Brion, they're just going to play for the soul, get a final team fight and take the mid lane highway into the base. But you gotta respect them for it. Going up 1-0 in this series against Afreeca, which was one of your main competitors last split, right? They were the ones who ended just above you. Beating them in a decisive and clean victory in a first game of the best of three is a beautiful start to your day.
Oh, nice little pick here, trying to force that Devour, but not gonna be used just yet. Finally gets used, but Leo burning down, and Delight is gonna flash on in. Nice little stun from Fly to save him, but there's no saving Afreeca at this point in time. Fly gonna get himself killed, and now with some minions into the base, they're just gonna go for it. That should be the end of the game. They don't need to wait for the soul point. Keen, desperate to get something done, not able to do too much. Hoya able to get on top of Dread as well. And now Bro just playing with their food. Nobody is going to deny yet again, as an incredibly clean win here from Bro, only giving away 2 kills to the side of Afreeca, as they will take a dominant win here to start off the series.
Incredibly impressed with Fredit Brion here. And as Afreeca, I honestly didn't mind the draft. I think that what we did saw was a lack of consistent damage coming through here. But honestly, super impressed here with the level of play that Fredit Brion is showing. I think that in terms of